Check, check, check. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an anime story podcast. How's everybody doing today? Hey, Helen, how you doing today? You great? Excellent. Hey, Bad, how you doing? Good? All right, let me just, watching an ad. So today, welcome to an anime story podcast. Today we're going to be talking about an anime called... Oh wait. I think the podcast was capturing the ad that was playing on my computer. Oh wait, hold on. Check. Check. Let me just make sure I'm working. It looks like I am. I think we're good. All right. Yes, so today, welcome to the An Anime Story Podcast. It's the 12th of January. Oh my goodness. This will be the first show of the new year. We're going to be talking about Ninja Girl and Samurai... Well, did we do Ninja Girl and Samurai Master during the new year? Or did I... Yeah, this is the first one of the new year. Because we were not here on the 5th, Saturday the 5th, to talk about this. We did discuss Ninja Girl and Samurai Master on the podcast before that. We took last week off because of some personal stuff. But here we're back to talk about Ninja Girl and Samurai Master because anime. So man, Helen, what'd you think of Ninja Girl and Samurai Master? Yeah, I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It's a if you don't know, if you didn't see it, it's a short form anime that is about, if you skip the credits, it's about 2.5 minutes long per episode. And I think there are 24 episodes in the first season, 24 episodes in the second season. It follows Nobunaga Nobunaga-sama, or what's his name? So it follows Nobunaga, the gentleman named Nobunaga, who is trying to unify Japan. This is I believe, a thing that happened in Japanese history, where apparently, spoilers, haven't seen that part, but apparently he unifies Japan. No, yeah. So apparently that's the thing that happens. And his ninja girl, Churi, I can't remember her name. Ninja girl. She is a shinobi, a ninja. And that she serves Nobunaga, and it's about their story of unifying Japan. A lot of great characters. And she can't what? She can't swim. As we learn in the first episode. But yeah, super fast. It's an anime that just goes, because they have, you have 2.5 minutes per episode to get everything done, to have every scene and every line of dialogue that you need to have, and so it just like goes and goes and goes. Yeah, as I said, if you skip the credits, it makes it 2.5 minutes long. It's a bad strategy. What did you think of Ninja Girl and Samurai Master? I know we very briefly discussed this on last show. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. You gotta... Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. It's one of those that, yeah, if you I think I said, the way I said it was, you cannot watch it passively. It is a thing you have to actively focus on, or you will just miss it. And that would be a shame, because it is a really solid show. It's very funny. The acting is really good. The writing is really good. A lot of jokes. Great humor. I think a weird little kind of gem, honestly, because I've never seen an anime like it before. Certainly I've never seen an anime that is, 3.5 minutes long with the credits. It's just not much. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Why? Why? Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. How about this? Why do you think you haven't got through some of the other ones? Because they're so short, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. That is something that I think that they do a wonderful job of. Is they have all the characters, they have all the motivations. They're all trying. They're trying to do what they want to do. They're acting on those things, and they're coming into conflict with other characters who have their own motivations. It's interesting. So something I've noticed in this is that because they have such a limited time to tell the story that they're trying to tell, all of the unnecessary everything is trimmed off, because like 15 seconds is really valuable, because that's a lot of screen time, right, for this show. So they gotta just like cut anything that is not absolutely necessary. Give the joke just that little. Give the joke an extra half a second to like sink. In like make everything has to be perfect, or as close to perfect as they can get. So there's no fat. There's no filler scene. There's no filler dialogue. There is. I mean, I would call it like there's lots of exposition, but because of the way it's done, I think it's done very well, because it's like a retelling of history, a telling of this, by a telling of the conquest or the unification of Japan by Nobunaga's personal historian, and like there's some other characters that narrate, and so it feels okay when they like throw the obvious like chunk of exposition on you, but because of how fast it moves as well, like it feels fine. Like it's a reasonable way to do exposition given the story that they're telling. Um, and it goes by really fast. There isn't. I will say this: there is very little like. I feel like there aren't any moments in the show where you have like a good like solid minute of exposition, because that's literally half the episode and they couldn't do that. You might have like a solid 10 seconds of exposition, but then they have to move on because they have other stuff they have to get to, so they have to just like communicate it real quick and be on. So it works really interesting. Go ahead, Helen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and so this is a thing. Yeah, this is a thing where I feel like some of the animation, some of the artwork is really nice, especially for how quick it goes, how simple it's not. It's relatively simple, and they have to do it because they have a lot of stuff to draw. Obviously, they're probably it seemed like they didn't start out as like a big studio. Seemed like more of an indie project. But and I don't know if it is, but it seems like it. But let me see. Oh darn! Oh, lost the train of thought. Because Helen, what did you just say? Oh, okay, yeah. So when you're reading, because it happens so fast, a lot of the times I'm just reading the subtitles, because I need to read the subtitle before it gets to the next subtitle, because it's so fast, and I do think that detracts from some of the art and some of the animation, because I think it's pretty good. I think they did a good job. I think there's some funny stuff in there. There's some good art, and that from a subtitle perspective, and it's hard to look at the art because I'm so busy trying to keep up with the story. So in this show, it would be really, really nice to get a dub of it, just so you can watch the show. Because there are some and there's a classic thing I think that's said a lot is, I read the sub. I feel like I'm always reading the subtitles and I'm never watching the actual show. It's like, well, in this show you literally like have to read all the stuff, like, and you might not actually watch much of the animation. There might be like an action scene real quick, but like it just goes so fast. So it would be nice to have a dub, because I think it'd be nice to just be able to watch the art, watch the characters, because the characters do a lot of fun. They have a lot of great expressions. They do a lot of like fun little movements. There's a lot of snappy physical humor that happens. Also, if you could read Japanese, there is a lot of like there are a lot of Japanese writing in the show that pops up. That sometimes it subtitles it, sometimes it doesn't. So there's a lot of things that pops up and I'll be like, ooh, I'm sure that's very funny, but I don't know what it says. One of those things, if there was a dub, and it had, I don't remember specifically, again, like trying to remember when a specific thing happened in the show would be like impossible for me, just because it moves so quickly. It was like a blur. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I think. Let me see what's going on. Do. Hey, Bad. Tell me about your day real quick. Okay. Neither of you are coming through. I know, that's just the worst. Why is that? It's always something. Mm-hmm. You can just imagine. You can imagine. I can tell you now, everything they said was very clever and very insightful. So let me think. Yeah, it was a wonderful show. Really enjoyed it. Da, 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 da. Hey there, Viking Octus. How are you doing today? No one can hear you, Bad. Your humming doesn't have an effect. Uh, of course.
Of course, technical difficulties.
So it works.
Do they have outlines on characters during the show?
I think I got you.
Got him?
Oh,
Got me?
Do they have outlines?
Yes. It
Yay!
worked.
Huzzah! Yay!
Okay.
I like the background.
So you were both telling me how wonderful and dashingly handsome I was. Go on.
Yes, you're beautiful like Gaston. Anyway.
Yes.
I love action. The action scenes in this are very precise, specific, and clear. And I loved that.
They do have good action scenes. Yeah, no, and let me think. Was there anything that we just went over in that 10 minutes that we didn't have sound? That you feel like
I like the backgrounds.
Bad likes the backgrounds.
I also like that they shift the backgrounds during dramatic moments for effect, right? If someone's angry, they do like the purple background with like the
classic.
yeah. So we get some stylized backgrounds depending on the stuff that is occurring. And I always like that. I always enjoy that in anime.
I like me some good parallax scrolling.
Parallax scrolling is the best.
What is that?
It's when different elements in the background scroll at different speeds to indicate distance. So you're like,
great, love that.
I like that too.
But okay, so I wanted to go over the animation. Really simple, kind of jumpy, and I think one of the reasons for that is that obviously they have a lot to animate. They have a lot of stuff they're doing, and everything moves really quickly. So they utilize a lot of that. What would I call it? Where they're basically there's not a lot of movement happening. So they're just like a still image of the character standing there, and then they draw the character in a slightly different pose. Not like a like a fluid animation, but they're like if they're right here, the next thing they're doing is like this.
I know.
Well, they have some
like
transitions.
They do have some smooth animation.
Yes.
And I think it's used very sparingly, probably because of the amount of time resource that it takes up, and probably because the way that they do like this like quick kind of snappy animation works relatively well for the type and the tone of the show, just because of the way it is. Like the dialogue is quick and snappy, and the animation is kind of quick and snappy.
I'm playing an episode right now, and it's not doing a lot of snappy stuff right now. It's it's most of the shots. It's a single element animated, like the shoulders going up and down or the mouth moving, whilst they combine that with either some of them they pan or they scroll, they like zoom in or zoom out whilst they do that. But usually it's a still image with a single element animated.
Right. So I don't know what I would call that.
I don't know.
Minimal or minimalist animation.
I mean, it's not uncommon in animation. That happens in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also maybe it's also the tone of the show that kind of makes me feel that way more. There are several moments I remember of them having like very, very fluid, 4 or 5 everybody's running, or like the action scenes are a great example of when like the characters are moving and everybody's there's a big animation.
It creates a very distinctive effect when they animate all the elements at once, because almost all of the shots are very little movement. So when they animate a whole bunch, it feels you can feel the movement. It's very
absolutely. It pops.
Well, and it makes that's what I was about to say. You got to before I said it.
But yeah, great animation. I thought it was really fabulous. I mean, Helen, you're talking about the intro, the intros. There are several intros.
Yeah. The first one I think gets you right away. It brings you into the story right away, which I really love. I feel like it sets you up for the quick style animation. So the song's really quick paced, and it's very like, okay, here we go. We're on this journey.
Actually, I feel like the tempo of the song is really quick, but maybe that's also just me hearing it really quickly because the show's really fast, right? But no, it like is like.
And I feel like it sets the pace for the entire show, so you're not. It's not jarring. It's really smooth. It's. I don't know. I really like the first one. The second one was a little more relaxed. And I felt like that one was a little bit like it didn't mesh with what I was feeling. So like when I go into an anime, I'd be like, oh, I can skip that intro because I know that, and it's
Also,
a little
very
slow.
it is very catchy. It's a
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good song. I enjoy it.
And then the third intro I really liked, but I don't know if there were more.
Right. I can't quite remember. I know they changed it. Maybe it was like it seemed like for every major arc or something like that. I know they had at least they had at least 3. I feel like they might have had 4. I don't remember. But they do a good job on it. An interesting thing that I was thinking about, and we were all talking about this, was the jokes and the way they do jokes in the show, the cadence of the jokes, and the types of jokes that they do. Helen, do you have any idea? Like, what do you think of the jokes they do?
I thought a lot of them were really fun and funny. I think you'd get them more if you're a history buff, Japanese history. But there are definitely some simple ones, and then there's not simple ones that are more witty. And I loved it. Like the lady not being able to cook, that like humored me because I'm a decent cook, but it's really funny. It's like
that is kind of like a simple goofy joke. Like every time like she'll like bring up food that she cooked, and it's always portrayed as like green with fish bones in it, and it's like poison,
bubbling and
and they make so let me think. They make a number of relatively clever jokes that are just there's like some. I feel like there's some. I got it, and here's one of the problems. It's not a problem. It goes so fast, it's a blur, and I can barely think of any specific jokes. So I feel like they have some very clever jokes.
Oh yeah.
And they have some very simple jokes. And so the way that because of the cadence of the show, because of how fast it goes, something that I kind of feel is that there are some jokes that are, for the most part, like if I were to experience that joke in more of a vacuum, if I weren't watching the show, I were to just see the joke happen somewhere and I wasn't like in the show, I would probably not think it's that funny. I think there's some. There's this specific joke that again I can't remember it, but it's just a joke where somebody is like with the cooking. It's kind of like the cooking. I don't think it was that one, but it's like the cooking is really bad.
Oh, they do like that kind of stuff a lot, like her drowning. Well, like that was funny.
Right. Well, and then there's some.
Or her getting stabbed to death, even though she doesn't die. Like,
there's a good joke about her trying to be in disguise, and she as a shinobi, as a ninja, she's in disguise, and she's like, oh, I'm just a farmer, and I was a wanderer, and I was just marking this tree here so I could get through, and she's marking the tree with one of her like shuriken, and the guy's like, what's that, a shuriken? You're a ninja, and that was very funny because that was like a silly thing to do. Obvious, like there's the joke. That's why the joke's funny. But so there's jokes like that, and there's jokes where it's like the one girl pulls out her bowl of food that she cooked, and here's my cooking, and it's like green and poisonous, and there are fish bones in it. And it's funny. It's a really simple. It's like, oh god, she can't cook, haha. It's like in most contexts, I would be like, I mean. You could chalk that into character humor, where it's funny because we know that character and we know she can't cook, and here she is not being able to cook. But it's a joke that I feel like because of how the show rolls, because it gives you the joke so fast. Here's this joke that's clever. Here's that joke that's clever. It gets you warmed up, and then it can.
And nobody wants to turn her down to eat it either because it's a polite society. So they're like, "Oh yeah."
And then they like die on the floor, but. It's this thing where they can once they get it going and once they get the show rolling, they can throw a really simple joke out there and it's funny. It's go ahead, Bad.
I would say the pacing means that the viewers have less time, the audience has less time to ruminate on what's just happened. So that might be part of why things end up being a blurs, because maybe a big part of us remembering them is thinking about them after the fact.
Yeah,
And that
that's fair.
also contributes to them being able to throw less funny jokes in with the more funny ones, because it's hitting us so fast that
It's
we
hitting, so
just...
you don't have time to think about it. You
Well,
don't
and
have time to.
the specific character development is so like it's so spot on that when they do make references to other characters, like how flighty the shinobi is, or like certain characters like Baldy is like always getting hit with stuff and he doesn't die.
Yeah,
Like
he's invincible. Yeah.
so these about these characters. So when they do throw a joke out there that is witty, you get it because you don't necessarily remember it, but you get it because you already have those established blocks in place.
Right.
And I think that
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah. No, and that's it's an interesting thing they do, because it is a show that is, I mean, it's a comedy. It's funny. It's about history. So like if I think yeah, like if you took Japanese history, or if you're from Japan and you know the history, probably you know how it's gonna end, because probably it's history. And what did Nobunaga unify Japan?
Suspicion. I have a suspicion that the shinobi protagonist is
Mhm.
maybe not in the history books so much.
Perhaps not, but that's just because they're shinobi. They were there. She was
They were
there.
there, yeah.
But so it's it's very much a comedy. I would say, what I don't know, would I call it a satire of history? Can you do that?
Oh,
It's not. It's not really a
It's not. It's not
satire
really.
of
No, it's not
anything.
satire, but it's a comedy about history. It's a telling of a story, of a historic story. Well, there's a ninja, but there were ninja in history.
do you mind if
Uh,
I backtrack for just a minute?
yeah, go ahead.
There's a joke that whenever no
Nobunaga.
Nobunaga.
Nobunaga,
I am Nobunaga.
whenever whenever he sends the shinobi out, he always brings more back or does something else. And so that's why he keeps sending her. He's like, oh, she'll be fine. I'm going to send her out. She'll come back with more than I asked for. And she's like, oh, he wants an alliance. And he's just like, I thought I
Uh-huh.
told you to assassinate him.
Uh-huh.
He's like,
Yeah. That
that made me laugh.
there's that, and it is I think it's an incredibly funny show. And there's some there's some jokes like that, and then there's I don't know if I'd call them fart jokes. But some
No,
just very simple, like
I would say simple because like they're
simple
not
jokes.
popcorn humor, but they're
Uh-huh.
good for establishing character
Yeah.
and being specific. Because you're not overcomplicating it, you're
Hmm.
just making a simple, specific choice,
Right.
and that is that character.
Well, and this is the thing. This is the thing. So, regardless of the type of jokes they use in the show, I think because of the type of show it is, because of how quickly it goes, and because of what they're doing, because of the animation and just the cadence of the show, they I think they absolutely know what they're doing. Because they know what kind of jokes to put in. They put in this joke here and that joke here, and they put a quick thing in here, and they have. And I think this also goes along with having to just plot out everything so
I
much,
agree.
because they just
Yes.
like you have to cut out everything you don't need. And you put in only what you do need, and you just get joke in here, joke in here. Every conversation is a opportunity for a joke, and
Well, and
that's what they're doing.
the building of the jokes into the arc is
Hmm.
really nice because as your stakes
Right.
are heightened, you're still getting is this going to happen? What's going to happen here? So your stakes are rising and rising, but you're still getting the jokes as they hit you. So I love that. I think they did a really nice job, and I think that took a lot of time on their part to make sure it was that specific and yet that simply done where you would be able to absorb that quickly without dumbing people down.
I do miss Nobunaga's musket, because
I do too.
I enjoyed Nobunaga shooting at Monkey with the musket.
I agree.
But yeah, I think it's a fascinating example of short form in a way that first of all I think is really good, but just haven't seen it. Just haven't seen a lot like it. Definitely one of those that you should go just watch a little bit of just to see it, just because it's fascinating. Just as an example of the media, of the art form. Bad, you've been particularly quiet today. Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
I've just been playing the show in the background on mute, trying to see if I can think of anything worth mentioning that I really want to talk about, because we did talk about it a bit last
Mm-hmm.
time. It has a very painted kind
Oh
of
yeah.
like almost like childish drawing aesthetic at times. There's
Uh-huh.
some shots that look like they're drawn with crayon,
Uh-huh.
and I think
Yeah.
that's an intentional choice
Oh
with
yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
aesthetic they're going for.
No, and then
Are you
and then
rewatching the titles as well?
Hmm?
Are you rewatching the titles as well?
The titles? What do you mean?
Like, are you skipping them or are you watching them? Like the intro,
the
I mean.
credits.
Oh, the
Yeah,
intro. Yeah. Yeah.
I was saying the wrong word.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
Yeah. I just want to try to. I'm just trying to remember the show and see if I can bring anything up. Yeah, I was watching the second season intro, the third intro. When did they switch from the first to the second intro?
I don't remember. I feel like I remember when it happened. And I'm pretty sure you'd remember me going, oh, they have a new intro. And I think
I
we
think it was
watched it
episode
once.
13 or 14.
Uh-huh.
One of those two episodes they
Okay, yeah.
switched.
Because I definitely really like the initial intro,
Mm-hmm.
and the third intro is all right, and I don't know if I remember the second intro. I think maybe I didn't like the second intro as much.
That's how I felt too. The stylization of it though kind of reminded me of Zelda. Like old school, like
Oh, I
64 Zelda.
I feel like I vaguely felt the same way.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I
Oh, right.
vaguely remember thinking something like that when watching it. I couldn't.
Get
I don't
kind of a
remember.
Zelda-y feel.
Yeah, this has got vaguely an old school JRPG, or not JRPG, but an old school and vaguely Nintendo thing happening in the intro. Yeah, I do vaguely remember thinking that. Here's a question. What do you think about the Ninja Girl and Samurai Master being on Netflix? Because it is on Netflix. What do you think about it being on Netflix? Thoughts? Any thoughts? Other on or oh, no, is Ninja Girl and Samurai Master is not on Netflix.
Not on
It is
Netflix.
on
That's a
Crunchyroll.
It's on Crunchyroll. If it were on Netflix, that'd be great.
Right. So here's an interesting thing, because the show we're watching next week is on Netflix.
yes.
What do you think of so Ninja Girl and Samurai Master? It's on Crunchyroll. I think it's all on Crunchyroll. Also, if you want to watch it, the first episode every season has an ad. So they're like no ads, because literally, again, like the thing's 3 minutes long. So if they put an ad on it, it'd be twice the size of the show.
And if you already have premium, you don't get ads anyway.
Oh my gosh, not gonna buy. But
Keep going.
what do you think about the platform there? Because I think so. Something about Agretsuko, which is what we're gonna watch next week, that is a really great thing for getting people into anime. Now, also, I'd say this is not a first time. I don't think this is a first time anime watcher's anime. I think it moves too quickly. I think it's too.
I disagree. I think that
Really?
the elements of anime
Uh-huh.
that are off-putting to people are it's not the show moving fast. I think that this moving fast isn't one of the things that I would say this is what makes people feel awkward watching anime for the first time. I think that
That's
you
fair.
can, yeah. So
No,
I
okay.
would
I
I
I
would
I
Okay, I
I,
would.
mhm. Go
Sorry,
ahead, Helen.
I was just gonna say like the reason I would say this wasn't a good first time anime for people would be, especially if they're not used to reading subtitles, this would
Yeah,
not be able to keep
Mhm.
up.
that's valid.
Yeah.
That is valid.
And yeah, that is how I feel about it too. I feel like it moves
It,
too quickly, and having to read the subtitles, and then you're
If
dealing
it
with
was
names.
dubbed,
You're dealing with names like Nobunaga, and things that are not easy for somebody who's just not accustomed to it to remember. Not that memorizing the names is super super important, but it moves so fast, and having to read subtitles. I feel like this is the type of show that if you don't watch anime at all, this is the type of show that would put you off of wanting to watch more because you
I
don't like
would
reading subtitles.
I would say the name on the topic of names, I don't think knowing the names in this particular
Yeah.
show is a big deal. I think there are certain
oh,
anime where getting the names confused is
Mm-hmm.
a big deal, and it's like,
Yeah.
God, I don't know who they're talking about, and it's
Yeah.
getting
No, I,
confusing.
I agree.
This isn't a show. This is all like you can just not know character names and visually recognize them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not an issue.
Yeah.
I I would say the subtitles are
Mm-hmm.
probably the biggest barrier. It needs a
And
good dub
that'd be my
to
thing.
I
be.
agree.
Yeah, if it
Mm,
had a really good dub, then I would say it could be a
yeah.
first time thing because it is very low commitment. You're talking 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, that including the credits for an episode. Like
Hmm.
that is a super short amount of time. So
Mhm.
if a dub comes out for it, and I don't know if it will, and I who knows. But if a dub came out for it, then I would recommend it. But if a dub, if you're just watching the sub, I would actually say don't let this be an intro. Certainly not an intro to anime. But I wouldn't even say it's something for third or fourth anime. Watch some other stuff. Then if the person who's watched it has decided they like anime, then maybe you can watch this because I think it highlights some good things about anime and it's really fun. Badly.
I agree with that, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned in respect to Netflix. Are you saying anime on Netflix should be anime that are easier for people to get into because Netflix is less of an anime site?
No, no, no.
What do you let's
So the thing
take
about
that and
Netflix and
unwrap
Crunchyroll.
it.
Let's unwrap this. Netflix and Crunchyroll. A, Crunchyroll needs competition.
Yes.
Agreed.
B,
100%.
yeah, there needs to be more good anime on Netflix. There needs to
I
be
agree.
more good anime
Well,
everywhere.
and the problem with Netflix too is they're trying to get away from like renting those license from other companies,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're trying to do a lot of original series.
Yeah, and
And so I feel like they might end up just being a channel, and
so
that's kind of what I'm afraid of.
here's the thing that I hate is that I hate the idea, and Netflix is doing it with all kinds of stuff. They're not just doing it with anime; they're doing it with, and this is not just Netflix. This is, Amazon, and this is
Right.
Netflix, and this is they all want to have. And I think there's been I was talking to somebody about Netflix or Amazon or something canceling their shows, or ABC canceling their shows. Different companies that have television shows canceling their shows because not because the shows do poorly or because they don't like the shows they just want to get rid of it so they can replace it with something that is an original series. It's a
Mm-hmm.
Netflix or it's an Amazon original series because they own the license, and it's a branding thing. And I hate that. I hate that so
I
much.
hate it too.
They
I do too.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like it kind of it creates some mini monopolies
mm-hmm. Oh.
because there might be great shows, but if you don't have Netflix, Hulu, Crunchyroll, Funimation, blah 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
then you can't see all of them, and
Hmm.
I think that doesn't help. I
Yeah,
think a
it's
little bit of it is okay, but
Uh-huh.
like I don't like the channel by
I mean
channel
this is
BS
the
Yeah.
they're
same
trying
thing
to
as
set up.
this is the same as console exclusives, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like people being
agreed.
like don't port your game because
Because
we
we
want
need
it only.
exclusives on different consoles,
Yes, exclusives.
and
You
that
gotta
it's
own
yeah,
Xbox, PlayStation,
and
PC.
it's also it's a thing where if your company is only making stuff, like one of the great things about the internet, one of the great things about all the different like services that are here now is that you can get a lot of them and you can access a whole bunch of different stuff from a whole bunch of different places, and that's great because you get this diversity of stuff. Now let's think for one. Let's say, for instance, for one moment that Disney is the only company that ever made movies. Do you think those would be kind of samey after a while? And that's just like when one group's in charge, they might make some really good stuff, but you're just not going to get diversity. Like if Netflix makes all of its own stuff and never makes anything else,
it starts getting diluted and it starts it starts getting this flat line.
Yeah, and it's going to be, maybe they make some really good stuff, but maybe I don't want to watch, Lion King. Maybe I want to watch, Robert Rodriguez film. Maybe, totally different, and that's one of the things.
Or The Good Place.
Or The Good Place, which I've heard is quite good. Or isn't it The Bad Place? Doesn't matter.
You gotta watch it and find out.
Exactly. But that is one of the reasons this is one of the things about Ninja Girl and Samurai Master, because I don't think I don't know where Ninja Girl and Samurai Master came from. I don't know if it's an indie thing that Crunchyroll did.
I don't know. The studio who has it is Kodakawa. That's all I know.
I kind of assume that most anime is indie because most anime comes from manga, and I kind of suspect there are a lot of independent creators of manga.
Right. So it should be a thing. I feel like it is a good thing for people on, like if you had Ninja Girl and Samurai Master on Netflix, and if you had any of this show, the anime on Netflix on Amazon, and if all the episodes on Amazon was on, that being able to get content from anywhere, especially because if you don't watch anime, and here's a problem. Here's a problem with any community of people that like a certain thing, is that generally they're excited about the thing and they would love it if other people did that thing, unless they're hipsters. But if they love it and they want other people to experience it, how many people that don't watch anime currently and maybe kind of sort of have a passive interest in watching an anime, who's gonna go and like look up Crunchyroll? Who knows what Crunchyroll is? They probably could find it if they googled like whatever show.
I had no idea what Crunchyroll was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, my husband's like, I've been using it forever, and I'm like, what is this?
And like, you're an anime person, right? Like,
yeah.
You know what? Here's the thing.
And I had no idea.
And so there's a lot of anime on Netflix. There's obviously a lot of anime on Crunchyroll. There's anime on Amazon. I haven't looked. I imagine there is.
There is. Yeah.
I tell you what. If you're trying to get more people into, like, if you're trying to get somebody into watching anime, God, it would be really convenient if it was just on Netflix, because fucking everyone has Netflix, or everyone has access to Netflix. I don't think I know anybody who does not have access.
Everyone hasn't. Yeah.
Everybody either has a Netflix or has their sister's password or their significant other's password, because that's just how Netflix works. But like Netflix, great. Like the more anime is on Netflix, the better. And that's just like so. From this is where I was going at with this being curious on it being on Crunchyroll and wishing that it was on Netflix. It's not because I think, maybe in a backwards kind of way I was saying that.
I get what you're saying, because I know like Crunchyroll's ability to, like, the capabilities of Netflix are much better. Like the pausing, the rewinding, a lot of that kind of stuff is more compatible for the user, whereas I feel like Crunchyroll is not as compatible for users.
And I will also say this: if you are a person who's wants to get into anime and is trying to get into anime, and you go and you watch Crunchyroll, and you haven't committed, you're not gonna drop money on it, but maybe you could go on Netflix because you already have Netflix, but you get on Crunchyroll and you start the anime, and there's 10 minutes of ads, and then 15 minutes in there's another 15 minutes of ads, and then at the end there's 6 minutes ads. It's like that would I would prefer if someone trying to get into it would just not have to worry about that.
So that is absolutely a thing that's a significant issue for people, because people don't remember it in terms of, gosh, Crunchyroll is not a great service. People remember it in terms of, gosh, that was horrible trying to watch anime. People just like lump the entire experience together, and so it doesn't end up getting separated, right? Like Netflix as a service, you can't. There's no free version of Netflix, but that also
cheaper,
means
though, too. It's easier to buy it because it's cheaper.
And
yeah,
here's also the thing: everybody already has Netflix. Like Crunchyroll is a thing you can go out and get, but like seriously, everybody already has Netflix. Like everyone has access to it.
I don't think I could like watch that many ads. I've always bought Crunchyroll since we got it.
And this makes sense for you, right? Because you're you.
Well, yeah, we watch all the new animes that are coming out, and we watch everything.
So and this is one of the reasons I think that more anime needs to be on Netflix.
I agree.
Again, I haven't looked on Amazon. I know there's probably lots of it, but like, because Crunchyroll, despite
I don't
regardless
like their system either.
Well, yeah, and so like with Crunchyroll, regardless of what you think of it as a service, the ads are such a deterrent from having people watch it, that if you're getting into it, they're just not going to do it.
Right.
So it is like, if you have Amazon Prime and you can get stuff, there should be more free anime on that. But Netflix
the smart
is a great
thing, if as a company they wanted to be smart, what they could do is have ones that don't have ads. Like this series, we made free to the public, but
that's
if
a good
buy
idea.
A service, you can.
Right. Yeah. No.
It
Absolutely.
just seems like there's a better way.
Yeah. No. I absolutely agree. Also, 15 ads at once. You got to run through, and it says, "Oh, this is a minute and a half ad," and then it's over, and then it's another minute and a half ad, and then there's another minute and a half ad.
Honestly, at this point, Hulu and Crunchyroll just like, I almost want them to just get rid of the free version, because it's like, if you look at Hulu, the free version has been getting worse and worse and worse, and like I haven't used it for a long time, but every once in a while I'm like, God, there's nowhere else I can get this. I guess I'll check Hulu, and then I do for a moment, and I'm like, oh God, no. It's because like Hulu's now at the point where they lock a bunch of the stuff. So it used to be you could watch anything free with ads. It is now you can watch up to a certain number of episodes with which is bullshit, because it's like, I'm tolerating all the ridiculous ads, and then they're like, can't watch anymore. Like, what do you want from me?
Apparently, all of your money,
Well, the crappy thing about Hulu too is even with all of those ads that you get through, and they only have a certain amount, they roll them off quicker too. So like we pay for Hulu as well, and we still, like, you want to go back and watch something and it's gone. So unless you're up to date with it, like a lot of the episodes are already rolled off, and you're like, I paid for this.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. No,
it's kind of absurd, but I honestly am I'm not going to ever buy Hulu, because they're like the free version of their service is so horrible that I'm just like, I don't like the way they treat consumers.
I have to say, I'm not the one who pays for that one. I'm on a plan with somebody, so I don't pay.
so this is one of the things, and this is one of the reasons I bring up Netflix, and this is probably one of the reasons that Netflix is just a huge thing. It's that it's honestly really good service. Aside from the rating system, which I think is stupid.
You can also change the video speed on Netflix. Crunchyroll.
Anybody who doesn't do that.
Everyone
Net,
does that.
Net,
They have to
Netflix.
intention.
Netflix is
I've got
Netflix
it.
is just a good service.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just aside from their rating system, it's just a good service.
I miss
And
their old rating system.
what was
It
the
felt like
was the old one like a
stars. So you could rate it like 1 star or
Right.
5 stars, and it was a collective of everyone who's watched it.
right?
So
Perfect.
that way
That's
you
what
get
ratings should
more.
be.
Not, oh well, you got this one a thumbs up. It's like, well, that one was not a thumbs down or a thumbs up.
Well, and then it also so yeah, it rates it like even if you never rate anything, it still gives things ratings based on the previous stuff you've watched. But like here's the thing: is like I've watched stuff on Netflix and been like, God, that was horrible. I never want to see anything like that again. That was just bad. And then Netflix, oh, you watched that? Here, watch this. It's like, damn it.
No.
But, yeah, bad.
I will say one big issue with Netflix is the search function. Is just the like, here's a page full of thumbnails of different shows,
Yeah.
which admittedly thumbnails it's pretty decent, but also just trying to find anything, having to scroll through just like maybe this category and then spin the wheel, and
I
it's
don't
just
like the way you have to type it in either. Like having
Yeah.
to scroll to it instead of like the what do you call it?
Like-
a pad that comes up that you can just click on things like PS has. I don't know, whatever it's called.
there.
So
it makes
I
it
will say
easier.
the criticisms you're bringing up, both of you are user interface issues.
Yeah, UI issues.
And
It's
you know what? If their biggest problem is they're having some UI problems, and these are not major UI. Although the one with the,
I'll say they like. I would say they need a complete overhaul. Like it's kind of functional now, but like
yeah, I agree.
someone needs to figure out how to sort things.
Yeah,
because
no, I've definitely had moments where I've just been like, I want to find. I just
You know
wanna
what
go
it
to the
feels
sci-fi
like?
section. Yeah.
You know what it feels like? It feels like the old days of next channel, next channel,
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I don't want to go back
No,
to
we don't want to
that.
go back to that. That's awesome.
I don't want to regress.
But so, yeah.
More anime on
Netflix,
Netflix
great
would
service.
be nice.
Wish there should be more anime on Netflix. But there should be more anime everywhere. So
I will also say I am very glad that I don't need to wait for the commercials to finish to figure out what's on the channel anymore. That's nice.
Oh my God, I know, wasn't it?
That
God,
was
I
horrible.
remember that. Oh, that's the worst.
It's like, what channel was TNG on? I want to go back.
Oh, and the funny thing, how many people really use like daytime television anymore? I mean, the only time I ever watch
Very
TV is
small
for
limit.
news and for football.
I don't watch television at all anymore. If I wanted the news, I would search the
online.
internet and
Yeah.
find something online.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like, I'll watch it after a football game if it's on.
I mean,
Otherwise, I check the internet.
honestly, it feels to me, based on my personal experience, like there's no one in the world who would. But I know that that's not true, and I know that there's this informational bias thing going on where I have my own information and I have people I talk to in my immediate circles, and then I don't have anyone who actually watches a lot of television probably.
You have inadequate data.
Yeah, I don't have the data to be able to make
Your sample size
judgments.
is far too small.
I do want to say I made a mistake. Kodakawa was not the studio. It was TMS Entertainment.
TMS.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody's gonna nitpick that.
Yeah. I just wanted to fact check myself.
Good stuff. That's what we do here. But
And I've never heard of that studio either. So.
yeah, neither have I. I'm sure they have done something that I've watched. Maybe.
Probably.
But yeah, so that's. I feel like. Well, that's our feeling on why Ninja Girl and Samurai Master should also be on Netflix, and that everything should be on everything.
Oh, they made Akira.
At least I think
Never
so. Any final thoughts on Ninja Girl and Samurai Master? Helen, how would you pitch this to somebody, and who would you pitch it to?
So, like we said, if it was a dub, I would pitch it as a first anime. If not, I would not. I would pitch it to anyone who is interested on challenging themselves if they speak Japanese, because it is so fast.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know, I like history buffs. I agree with you. I think they'd really like it just because it's fun, and some of it may make no sense to history, but it is a little fictional and
Yeah.
it is a little historical. So I think it's a really great, fun, quick anime.
Got some of your history in my fiction, some of my fiction in your history.
So watch it today.
Bad. What are your thoughts on that?
Best girl is Nobunaga's musket.
Oh my gosh.
100%. Best girl is Nobunaga's musket. And who's the waifu?
Waifu is the horse that Nobunaga rides.
No. Waifu is the sickly general.
Sickly general is waifu. I wouldn't really want to be married to a horse.
Okay, but
I didn't think
I
that.
also like Muscles.
That's,
Muscles. Oh my God, Muscles is a good waifu.
He is really good, but I feel
you know what? Season 1 waifu, sickly general. Season 2 waifu will be Muscles.
Okay, that's fair. We'll allow it. Okay, solid. And season 1 best girl is Nobunaga's musket, and season 2 best girl is Nobunaga's musket.
Season 1's best girl might be the 15 shuriken.
Oh, you're right. Well, okay, we've got that squared out. I like it. I like where everything sits.
Sorry, we had some confusion there. I implied that I would want to be married to a horse. It was
let's just clear that up right now.
Let's just move on. I think we're
everything. You like animals.
Squared away now.
Okay. So yeah, no, I agree. I think I would not pitch this to. I would not want somebody to watch it for their first anime just because the subtitles move too fast. If they get a dub, I'm gonna rethink that. I wish there was a dub because I think that'd be great. The way I would pitch it to people is probably just to people who like anime in general. People who like. I don't know if I'd pitch it particularly. Well, I'd pitch it to people who are interested in Japanese history. People who like comedies, it's really funny. Probably people who just appreciate quick, snappy humor. It's about Nobunaga, I think his name is Nobunaga-sama.
Oda Nobunaga.
Oda, that is it. Oda Nobunaga. And he is trying to unify Japan with his tiny ninja girl who is going to help him. It's very funny. And I would mention that each episode without the credits is 2.5 minutes. Super quick. Really, really enjoyable. Next week, we're going to be watching... that is
Aggretsuko.
Yes, Aggretsuko on the 19th of January. Aggretsuko is another one that I think all of us have watched. It's a great show. It is another short form anime. It's not as short form as this. It is like 10 minutes per episode, something like that. It is the delightful story of a red panda who works in, I think, Tokyo and hates her job and has a boss who is just a pig because he's literally a pig. And she has a little bit of an anger problem that she deals with by going to karaoke. We haven't.
We never talked about Aggretsuko on the show.
I don't know if we talked about Aggretsuko on the. Well, we haven't talked about it yet. I don't think
we touched on it.
We've touched on it a couple times. We have mentioned it a couple times. We haven't actually discussed it on a show. But to finish that, she has some anger problems that she alleviates by going to karaoke and singing death metal, which is awesome. So that's going to be great. That's again going to be next Saturday, 5 o'clock. That is the 19th of January. It's going to be really fantastic. Well, thanks for coming and joining us, watching us today. Helen, Bad, do you guys have any final comments? Nope. A breath. A single breath.
It's good. Watch stuff. Anime.
Mm-hmm. Watch the first season. Aggretsuko next week. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely night, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.